Welcome back to Sports Rock.
Spur Rock.
Next episode is going to be professional baseball. Right now in the American League in the East, we're looking at Baltimore at 29-22, Tampa Bay at 29-22, the New York Yankees.
Fuck the Yankees.
At 26-23, the Toronto Blue Jays at 27-24, and we have the Boston Red Sox at 26-24. By far, right now, the tightest there is, and it's tight. 2.5 is all that separates
and
from
folks,
top to bottom.
Tight's good.
Now we'll go to the Central Division.
Only one team I care about there.
Chicago White Sox are 29-22. The Cleveland Indians are 27-23, a game and a half back. Detroit, mega dollars, like Boston and New York, go out and spend. They right now are in third place at 5.5 back. Kansas City Royals are 7 back at 21-28, and Minnesota is 18-32. And I say boo to the Cleveland Indians for losing 2 out of 3 to Kansas City Royals. No excuse for that shit. None. Then we go to the West. Rangers, tough team. They're in the lead, 31-19. Los Angeles Angels, 26-25. They're 5.5 back, and they're playing good ball right now, quite honestly. Oakland Athletics, 22-29. They're 9.5 back. Seattle Mariners, 22-30. They're 10 back. My God, what a game that was. The last game they played, though. That was a football score. That was not a baseball score. Now we will go to the National League in the East. The Washington, 29-21 leading. My God. Miami Marlins, used to be Florida Marlins. Second place, they're 1 game back. They're at 29-22. New York Mets on a roll, 28-23. They're 1.5 back. Atlanta is 28-24, 2 back. Philadelphia Phillies are 27-25. They're 3 back. That is another heated race at this point, but it's early. Long season in baseball. Central, get a hold of this, people. You ain't going to believe it. You ain't going to believe it. Cincinnati Reds are in first place. You're not going to believe this one. They're at 28-22. St. Louis Cardinals, 27-24, game and a half back. You Pittsburgh fans, it's a mirage, trust me. They're in third place, and they're only 3 games back at 25-25. Houston Astros, 22-27, they're 5.5 back. Milwaukee Brewers, 21-28, they're 6.5 back. Chicago Cubs. Oh my God, Cubbies, we can relate to your heartaches. You're in last place there. You're at 18-32. Go to the West. Dodgers, 32-17, rolling. San Francisco Giants, 27-23. They're 5.5 back. Arizona, 22-28, 10.5 back. Colorado, 19-29. So much for them freaking Rockies. 12.5 back. Oh my God, the Padres. Why are they even playing baseball? Jesus Christ, you're 17-35, 16.5 back. Call the freaking season, people. What's your comment, gentlemen?
I would say if we look at the American League real quick, the Texas is by far the best team in the American League. I don't think there's any question at this point. Quarter of the way through the season, I would say Texas is the team to beat in the American League. I don't count out the Yankees in Boston because I don't think Baltimore's going to hang on. In the National League, the Dodgers are playing good ball. There's no question about that. The East, which is jammed up, I would like to see the Nationals, quite frankly, win the East. The Phillies are a better ball club, but the Phillies have issues. They lost Doc Holliday, and that's going to be for a while.
Yeah.
They lost injuries.
Utley and Howard are not yet returned. I don't know when they're coming back. If they can maintain their head above water until those guys come back and Doc Holliday can get healthy, lots going to rely on Cliff Lee now for them. But I like.
Who hasn't been pitching very great this year.
I like the way Texas plays ball. And the Dodgers, I really haven't seen the Dodgers play much, but they're obviously playing good ball at the record they have.
Even though if you go to a Dodgers game, the chances are high you will get the shit beat out of you in the parking
Yeah, that's uncool. That's really cool, but
Well, it's all players incognito too, quite honestly.
I would say Texas in the American League and then probably the Dodgers at the quarter pole are the two best teams.
I obviously you can't argue with the Rangers being the best team in the AL. Baltimore.
That's a mirage. I can't see it lasting.
I just want to say this first and foremost, Mr. Becknell is a pessimist. I want to believe the Baltimore is not a mirage.
Well, I
want to believe the Cleveland Indians ain't no motherfucking mirage, but you know what?
I would believe that the Orioles might not be a mirage had they not played in a division with Toronto, Boston,
New York,
and Tampa
Tampa
Bay.
Bay.
But isn't it possible though that Boston's time is up? Their team is not young. Beckett's a head case. I'm not real sold on Boston, to be honest. I think it's quite possible they could finish at or near the bottom of that division at the end of the year. New York is New York. They've got a pretty good team.
Well, Boston has a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
If they could get some guys back, plus come July, those teams will make moves.
Yeah, they will.
They've got the payroll flexibility.
Yeah.
To make a move if they deem fit.
Right.
The teams like Baltimore, Tampa Bay that are a little bit financially strapped, though Baltimore has spent money unwisely in the past. Tampa Bay doesn't spend any money, but Boston and the Yankees will make a move. Texas just signed Roy Oswalt.
Right.
So they're still adding to the mix.
Right.
But the White Sox. I mean, every team gets hot and wins 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. That just happens in baseball. And if you're as a Cleveland fan, last week you sweeping Detroit, you're strutting, baby. You're feeling good.
Absolutely.
You're 3.5 games in first place.
Yes.
A week later, you're a game and a half out of first place. That's
Yes.
how fast it turns.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
The worm turns
I
quickly in
think
this
I
sport.
think in the Central, I think the Indians have a solid team. Injuries are starting to bite them. Santana's got a concussion. Hafner out 4 to 6 weeks. The bullpen has not been as solid as we had hoped. Neither has the rotation, although Lowe's been a big surprise. I think Jomar Gomez has pitched fairly well. Tomlin's been solid. Jimenez still hasn't found the spark they think he's got.
He blows.
And Masterson has not been masterful.
Well, when you
So-
when you say the Indians are a solid team,
Yes, I think they are.
I got a question. Then.
I know you do, but I
I've
think
got
they are.
I've got a question for the fact is if you're a solid team, then you're 25 men deep.
Mhm.
Cleveland's not.
No.
Cleveland's got to go to that bench or turn to their minor league system. No,
That's true.
turn out the lights. The party's over.
That's very true. But you've also got to figure the keys for Cleveland are going to be Grady Sizemore. If he can come back, but listen,
here
though,
we go. This is an Indians fan. Go ahead.
if he can come back and play fairly well and stay healthy,
Oh, there's a big if.
That's
that's a
a
big
huge
if.
if.
It really is. And what's the deal with the pitcher formerly known as Fausto? Is he ever going to come back?
Well, if he does come back,
It's gonna be late.
Major League Baseball just ruled on the guy from Florida, the Miami Marlin guy.
He'll be
He got
suspended.
8 weeks.
He'll be suspended. He'll be
So
suspended.
say Carmona is eligible to come back say he came back the 1st of June. It'd be all of June and all of July before he'd even be eligible to come back.
He won't be
then
pitched
then
till August.
Exactly.
Season's over.
So Fausto's done for the
He's
year.
not.
Yes.
I don't count on him. Don't count on him.
Exactly.
I wouldn't count on him if he was there.
But this team is young and talented. You've got Kipnis.
There's
You've
some,
got
there's
Asdrubal,
some pieces.
Brantley
I admit there's some.
Brantley's
pieces.
been off and on. Chu has been playing fairly well lately.
Too many left-handed hitters in the lineup.
Yeah, there's no question.
You throw a left-hander against them, it's lights out. They can't withstand any injuries. They never, ever, during the offseason, they knew what the problem was. They had no right-handed hitting punch in the outfield, especially left field.
Could
What
have
they
Melky
did, they did
Cabrera or
nothing.
Hunter Pence.
They did nothing.
Didn't do it. No, you're right.
And
You're
you
right.
know where you go there, gentlemen? Who do you go to there for the lack of building your team and making it better.
But hold
Wait,
on.
wait, 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 wait.
No, but
Who
listen
do you
to
go
this,
there
but
for that?
real quick. You've got two teams who added the two best free agents this year, and the Angels are in second place with one game over 500 and adding
Pujols is starting to hit.
And you've got Detroit, who's in third place, 4 games below 500, adding Prince Fielder.
Now, wait a minute. I'll give you that, but you know what? It's a long season. We're very early into this season. When this stuff starts rolling, which is going to, Pujols is starting. Prince Fielder, trust me, that man is going to hit the ball.
Detroit just took a hit with Fister going back on the DL.
And
That was a hit.
Weaver is going on the DL for the Angels.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is hits.
Well, the Angels are playing for that second wild card. They're not going to catch
Right.
Texas.
Right.
Well, at this point, I think that's what the Cleveland Indians need to be considering too.
Now, barring injuries, to,
Right.
to Texas, of course.
But going to the ownership, when you're asking this, the ownership in Cleveland basically has already said, I'm not spending money. You build what I have right here, or what you can create. We used to have a great farm system. Farm system has taken a shit.
Yeah, it has.
Well,
yeah.
It has taken a
Do you
shit
think it's time to
from what it
Do you
used
think
to
it's
be.
time to bring up Laporta?
I think Matt Laporta blows. What I think it's time to
That's
do is
600 at
new
Columbus
ownership.
or whatever.
New ownership for the Cleveland Indians.
I don't disagree
That's
with
what
that.
we need. New
But the
ownership.
thing is, though, the Indians need, if they do decide, if somebody does make an offer on this team, it has to be somebody like Dan Gilbert, who is not going to rely on the team to turn any kind of a profit, who makes buku money elsewhere. Because let's face it, the market that the Indians are in order for them to support a payroll that would get them to the World Series, they're not going to make money.
Well, I disagree with one aspect. This is not making money. George Steinbrenner, which owns the New York Yankees, which at one time, if people really look way back in the history, could have bought the Cleveland Indians, but that didn't pan out. There's times where he really didn't make all that much money off the team itself.
Right.
He made money off the simple fact this is the New York Yankees. We make them winners. We do whatever we can to make them winners. That's the owner
George-
you need in Cleveland.
George
You need
Steinbrenner-
somebody that will go all out
But
to
listen,
win.
that's what I'm saying.
Period.
George Steinbrenner has said before in the past, if you expect to own and operate a successful sports franchise, you cannot rely on that franchise as your sole source of income.
Well, it's
And the Dolphins
it's
have.
easy for George Steinbrenner, the late George Steinbrenner,
Yes, God, God rest his
to-
soul,
to-
actually.
to make that comment when he is sitting on cable and radio television rights packages that are over $200 million.
Right.
You can afford to have that type of
Right.
payroll because it's paid for by your radio and television
It doesn't
contract.
matter how much the Indians win, they will never be able to generate that kind of money because of the market that they are in.
But I do believe maybe the Indians can't afford a $110 million payroll.
They
But
don't need-
I do think they can
they-
afford an 85 to 91.
I agree. I completely agree.
What was the payroll for
Build
the
it, they will come.
What was the payroll for the winning team last year for the World Series, for the World Championship of baseball? What was the payroll for that team?
To be honest with you, I don't
Close.
know.
I bet you
Close.
the Cardinals were kind of high.
Give-
They were probably around 100 million.
They're probably close.
Okay. Look at some of the teams in our American League, which
But they
is what
draw.
we're in.
They're packed every
They
day.
draw. Well, look at
Well, the
what we
Indians
used to
would
be.
too.
Look at what we
Baseball
used.
town.
Look at what we used to be too, though. What 455? Is that the number?
However, you do have to remember,
Yeah.
and I have stated this before, that those years, there was no Browns football in town.
That's right.
The Indians were the only game in town. Yes, they were winners.
They were excellent.
But had they not been winners, they wouldn't be drawing any fans either.
Okay, well, here's a cliche then, to put, not even a cliche. Here's just a something to throw right out there at you. We have not won in Cleveland Browns football since we came back.
It's a Browns town, you know it, and always will be.
Yep.
I understand. I understand that, but it's the Indians have been here a lot longer than the Browns have.
Doesn't matter.
Yes or no?
Doesn't matter.
Yes or no?
Doesn't matter.
Yes or no? Wait a minute,
Doesn't
that's a
matter.
question. Yes or no? The Indians have been here longer than the Browns have. Yes or no?
It's irrelevant.
When the Indians win,
It's irrelevant.
when the Indians win, they draw fans.
They do.
Well, okay. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
It
so
takes-
you get
it
an
takes money
owner-
to make money.
You get it, but you get an owner out there like a Dan Gilbert or anyone else that's got money that can do it. You bring the players in. Bring the players in. You win.
But
They'll put
those
people in the seats.
those players were homegrown.
Yes.
Tomies, Ramirez,
Yes.
Bell,
Very
those
true.
guys were homegrown.
Yes, and you know what?
And our farm system is dried up. Sorry.
Well, the thing is,
At least at the AAA level.
well, we need to
We
get
need
back.
people.
We need to get back to getting our all-stars here and keep them here. Okay, now we're going to going to wrap up this session, and we'll be back to you from Sports Rock.
Sprock.